I'd like you to talk a little bit about, how a person should set themselves up financially, just a small snippet, because you and I have talked about this before. And so when a person straight out of college or out of a relationship or in a relationship or wherever they are in their lives, a budget is so important. So just, like an overview of what a person's budget might look like.
Well, a person should, as a believer in Christ, they should give to the Lord. And they
Yes.
should tithe and give to the Lord. That's 10%. But they should also pay themselves at least 10% or more, which means you have about 20% or 80% or less to live off of.
Right.
And when you're starting out, that may not be a whole lot, but you adjust. And the reason why you adjust is because you want to be able to save some dollars for when you need something, you can act upon it.
Yeah.
And so you should have both short-term dollars for repairs, for a friend getting married, you're going to travel, 1,000 miles, get a ticket, hotel, you have money for that, short-term budget. You want to put down payment on a car, short-term budget. Then there's long-term. And those are dollars that you don't touch. Those are dollars that build towards your either retirement and or through major investment like buying a house or major remodeling where you're adding value to your home, and that's going to increase in value. But long term, you want to just not touch.
Right.
And so that's my philosophy. Now, to be quite honest, I didn't start off that way. I have a master's degree in marketing and finance. And so it really requires a mindset.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of money at times. I made some mistakes. My wife will tell you about that. It's another show.
That'll be another show, yeah.
Okay. And so, but I've learned that that's how you need to manage your life and your organization or business, how we manage our ministry. People always tell us we're very well managed ministry.
Yes.
Because it's important. I view myself as a steward. So likewise, over the dollars that God has blessed me with, what I earn for me personally and for my family, I'm still a steward of that. So having giving to God, pay yourself, and then also put dollars aside. And then the dollars you have, be prudent in those dollars. Count the costs. Maybe get more than one estimate. Shop around. Talk to people who may have done business with that person or that organization. What was their experience? And then you want to leverage. It's how to negotiate.
Right.
I didn't always understand that about negotiation, but everything is negotiable.
Exactly. And you're in the driver's seat. And, you're the one in the driver's seat because businesses flourish because they have customers.
Yes.
So don't be afraid to ask.
Exactly. And see, in fact, God says you have not because you ask not.
Ask not. That's right.
And sometimes you may get a reaction, a negative reaction. Well, I can't do that. No problem. And then you can counter. You can offer an alternative. The way I look at it, think ahead of time before you enter into a possible negotiation where you want to land.
Yes.
And you negotiate to a spot that's favorable for you, but also working out a win-win. A win-lose does not work.
No.
Because the one that loses end up hurting you later on anyway, or it doesn't work out. They don't contribute like they should because they realize they're losing now. But this a win-win is powerful. And when it's a win-win, people add more to the plate anyway, whether
right.
it's sweat equity, references, connections, other higher value. So people need to think that way. If you have to buy everything you get, you're not living life.
Right.
You need to be able to, what Bible calls it favor. People do things for you that you couldn't buy because they have the keys, they have access. They're gatekeepers. They decide, like who comes on your show, for example.
Yes.
You decide, okay. Favor with you allows me to come on.
Yes.
It's that kind of thing that we need to understand, and that works over time. So how we handle our relationships, how we handle our money, it's all about stewardship. Take no one for granted. Take nothing that I have in my sphere of influence for granted. And even people that you may have had a difficult relationship with, family, friends, coworkers, whoever, do all you can not to destroy relationships and always maintain a bridge. Maybe every now and then give them a call, say hi, Merry Christmas, happy birthday. Just keep in contact, even though it may have been a little tough strain in that relationship, because the Bible says love never fails. It never fails to accomplish a good objective.
Yes.
And I'm sharing all this to your audience because it helps you do life.
Right.
People like to do business with people who they like.
Yes.
Okay? And sometimes your best friends are your former enemies.
That's very true.
And so if you don't reach out and build relationships, you're missing out on what God is preparing for you because you won't talk to them no more.
Right.
They're off your list.
Yeah.
That's stupidity. That's really ignorance. People don't know. Maintain relationships. Even family. Oftentimes people have problems with their fathers. Reach out to them if they're still alive. Reach out to them.
Right.
Because that mends our heart. And you may help his life out.
Right.
And, you may get a nice check in the mail when he passes. I don't know.
This is true. And,
Hey.
when you build those bridges, when you cut people off and you don't allow them to give them an opportunity back into your life at some level, you not only are cutting off your own blessings, but you're cutting theirs off too. And people do grow.
Yeah.
Just like we've all grown.
Exactly.
You're not
I wouldn't
the
do it
person,
that way anymore.
Right. You're not the
Forgive
person
me.
you were when you were 18, 21,
Exactly.
25. So people evolve and grow.
Right.
So the message in that is to stay connected and, give a person the opportunity to grow.
Now, with this, Charlene, to your earlier question, this ties in directly to purpose, walking in purpose. Because in walking on our pathway of purpose, there's people we need and need to meet along the way.
That's right.
And interact with and help them, and they help us. We work together. And if we don't understand relationships, the very people you need, you've already met along the way over the last 5 or 10 years, but ignore them. They don't make enough money or this and that. You just didn't give them any quality attention. Now they're a director of a department that you want to have access to. And the way you treated them is say, then he's not a nice person. Now you've grown, but they don't know that.
That's right.
Because you never interacted with them in prior opportunities in a positive way. And here God has placed you in the place where you are destined to go. But because you don't understand relationships, you can't go through that door.
Yes.
And so when people understand why things don't happen, it's not that you're not qualified. It's not that you're not in the right place at the right time. Oftentimes because you have not built up and strengthened and maintained quality human relationships.
And I like the word human because in this digital age, we are so, internet driven. And I don't find any fault in that.
Right.
I think it's a great.
I love it.
I absolutely love it. It connects you internationally, globally, and all of that. But there has to be an element for personal relationships to develop, that belly to belly, that eye to eye, that person to person. And, you can't leave that part out.
Yeah.
So.
When I became bishop, it was such an experience for me. The church was packed out with full of people.
It really was.
I saw so many people, even many I haven't seen in a while, that used to attend our church and went on with their life, another church, what have you, but came back and to see how happy people were for me.
It was such an emotional evening.
I mean, people told me people were crying.
They were.
And I'm thinking,
all
what?
around me.
And they're celebrating, and there's the tears of joy and awesomeness. So that speaks to my journey.
Exactly.
I mean, if the journey didn't have any value, it wouldn't be even half full.
That's right.
And so I want to encourage your audience is that you don't get to your destiny overnight.
That's right.
It's a journey. And if you enjoy the journey, enjoy the people along the way,
yes.
and realize you have to reach out, you got to say nice things, you got to encourage, you got to love, and bring your A game.
Bring your A game.
Because that's what the value is.
That's right.
Bring your A game, and then people are there to help you and celebrate with you.
Exactly. We are going to be so successful after this conversation. I'm just excited for everybody in the audience and myself too. Also, I wanted to talk about what is the difference, and this is just a quick question, and I'm sure a lot of people have. What's the difference between being a pastor and being a bishop? What's the difference between the two, or is there a difference?
Yes, there is a difference. Fundamentally, a pastor is a minister overseeing a church. A bishop is a pastor over pastors.
Okay.
And what my vision as bishop now of the Zoe Association of Churches internationally is go beyond churches. So I become a bishop that connects not just pastors and pastors in our formal organization, but going beyond our organization and connect with business people and those in government and also those even lay people who see what we're doing, there's value. And so I'm in a process now developing a more comprehensive vision plan to broaden our scope. So as a bishop, I'm not just over pastors and churches, but I'm over people who have a common vision, who are thinking big, and want to have a global impact. And we can bring our respective influences, skills, abilities, and networks working together. And together, we can do more than we can individually.
Wow. That is awesome. That's awesome. I'd also like to know about Awaken.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about Awaken. There are people who have, this vision or purpose that they think they have for their lives, and they don't know how quite to get to that.
Yeah.
And they need some help and coaching and all of that. And so I'd like you to talk a little bit about what you created in that area.
Well, thank you. Awaken is an outgrowth of me helping people walk in purpose. And so what Awaken does, we offer professionally trained, certified life coach training to certify people to become life coaches. And what's so powerful about Awaken, and that's where the name comes in, it awakens the potential in every human being. We believe that is inside every human being, yes, a God-given potential in their life and a God-given purpose. What people oftentimes need is someone to pull it out of them and encourage them. Life happens.
Yes, it does.
And even those of us who may come from quote-unquote nice families, privileged environments, life happens in those houses too, in those
right,
communities, because of disappointment, so forth. And what happens, we internalize that. And when the word awaken is, although we spell it differently, is A-W-Y-K-E-N. Mm-hmm. Reason why we have a Y, because it's about the awakening potential in you. But awaken, the term in terms of being asleep and being awakened, implies when you sleep, you just awake to what's around you.
Yes.
There's cars driving, around your neighborhood, but you don't recognize you sleep. There's things going on. Well, we're trying to help people wake up to what's around you, mm-hmm, and what's inside of you, and be about your purpose. And so it's about professional life coaching to help people draw out of themselves first, because before I can help somebody else become awakened, I got to be awakened.
That's
so
right.
The training helps those students get trained in becoming coaches. Their life begins to come on. We see people crying in our classes. They start crying because this is exactly what I needed in my life, even though they're training to become a help to someone else.
Well, if you haven't overcome adversity and you haven't addressed issues in your
yes,
life in certain areas, how can you coach someone else? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
So it's exciting. We've been doing it for about 2.5 years now. We trained 170 coaches, certified coaches so far, and we're about to start another one in end of June, another training.
So where would someone go to get this information?
They may go to our website at awaken.com, AWYKEN.com, or they can go to our Awaken Facebook page, and there's a link on one of the posts there. We're now promoting the upcoming classes. In fact, there's a free webinar coming up on May 24th, and they'll learn, and it's all about the introduction to what Awaken Life Coaching is all about.
Okay.
And it's free, and it's in the evening on that evening. That I think it's a Tuesday night.
So if anyone is interested in becoming a life coach or being awakened, they can come to the free information webinar, and that's going to be on...
It's on the 24th of May at 5 p.m. And so if they go to our Awaken Facebook page,
yes,
and also like us, I appreciate that, and look at the post, and then they can click on the link and they can register, and it's all free.
See, and that's where, technology, meets with purpose,
yeah,
and it allows you to get more information out to more people. And we had some questions from our young people, and I'd like to ask those questions because if I don't, they're going to get me get off. Do you believe that once one discovers their purpose, the transition from college education into the workforce becomes easier?
Oh, yes. It's easier because you have a sense of direction. It's still work because you have to do what you do, mm-hmm, but you have a sense of confidence that you're doing something that's leading you to the place where you really want to go, and you can enjoy the journey better because it fits your heart. In other words, you're doing the kind of work that you're happy with, that it utilizes your skills where you can win at, you can be good at. People are born to accomplish. And so once they finish college and begin to enter into an area they consider this is their purpose, this is their life passion, then it's a good thing.